Nahum, chapter 1, verse 15. Reading from the King James Bible first, quote, Behold upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publish peace. O Judah, keep thy solemn feast, perform thy vows. For the wicked shall no more pass through thee, he is utterly cut off. Unquote. John Gill, quote, Behold upon the mountains, or the land of Israel, as the Targum, or those about Jerusalem, the feet of him that bringeth good tidings. See how they come one after another, with the news of the havoc and slaughter made in the army of Sennacherib by an angel in one night, of his flight, and of the dealt by him the hand of his two sons, and after that of the destruction of Nineveh and of the whole Assyrian empire, all which were good tidings to the Jews, to whom the Assyrians were implacably enemies, and whose power the Jews dreaded, and therefore it must be good news to them to hear of their defeat and ruin. The messengers that brought it must be welcome to them. They that published peace to the Jewish nation, who might have hence hope for peaceable and prosperous times, like expressions with these were used in Isaiah chapter 52, verse 7, on account of the return of the Jews from the Babylonian captivity, and were applied by the apostle to gospel times and gospel preachers, Romans 10, verse 15. These may also, and they express the good tidings of victory obtained by Christ over sin, Satan, the world, hell and death, and of salvation wrought out and peace made by him. It being usual for the prophets abruptly and at once to rise from temporal to spiritual and eternal things, particularly in what concerns the Messiah and the gospel dispensation. See Gill on Isaiah chapter 52, verse 7. O Judah, keep thy solemn feast of the Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles, which had been interrupted or omitted through the invasion of the land and the siege of Jerusalem by the enemy. But now, he being gone and slain, they had full liberty and were at leisure to attend these solemnities. Perform thy vows which they had made when in distress, when the enemy was in their land and before their city, promising what they would do if it pleased God to deliver them out of his hands. And now they were delivered, and therefore it was incumbent on them to make good their promises, and especially to offer up their thanksgiving to God for such a mercy. See Psalms chapter 50, verse 14. For the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off. Or Baal, the counselor of Baal, as in Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 11. The king of Assyria, who, though he had passed through their land, had invaded it and made devastation in it, should do so no more, being dead, cut off in a judicial way, through the just judgment of God, suffering his sons to take away his life, while in the midst of idolatrous worship, and this may reach not only to him and his seed after him, being wholly cut off, but to the whole Assyrian empire, who should none of them ever give any further trouble to Judah. Scripture, quote, Behold upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publish peace. O Judah, keep thy solemn feast, perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off. And King James Version, end of John Gill, Nahum, chapter 1, verse 15, end of chapter 1, being brought by Discovering the Scriptures. This is John Gill's exposition of the entire Bible, verse by verse, being read by Dr. Peter John.